Oh, perfect. Oh, no.
Oh,
So is that a donut or?
Jeremy.
Is.
Blue. Your mic blue? They're all blue.
Good thing the gal, there's a lot of talking going on up there.
You're good.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's regular board meeting on Monday, November 4th, 2024. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have met compliance with official notifications. Roll call, please.
Sarah Schubert McComb,
Here.
Ed Gallagher,
Here.
Nick Olson,
Here.
Orgowski,
Here.
or Taylor,
Here.
Schumacher present. President Stephen Olson.
Here. This time, will you all please rise for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Self-conscious.
This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for comments by members of the public during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any of the topics included on tonight's agenda may do so by signing up on the public comment sign-up sheet by the entrance prior to the start of the meeting. The board requests refraining from making any comments involving personally identifiable information about students, staff, or administration. Comments should be respectful, focused on the items being considered by the board, and will be restricted to 3 minutes in length. Do we have anybody speaking from the public? Okay, thank you. Disposition of minutes from October 14, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes from October 14th, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Report from the superintendent. Well, if the superintendent were here this evening, she's gone, personal vacation this week. But we had some exciting news today from the Wisconsin Association of School District Administrators. Our district administrator, Amy Starzecki, has been named the superintendent of the year. It's quite an honor. I've had the privilege of working with her, and we know a lot about her. We know how dedicated she is to our school district and how passionate she is in making this the best school district in the state of Wisconsin. And I'll be a little longer with words when she's here with us next month. Okay. So I think it's a great honor, and it just follows what we've been doing in this district. Crystal, Jamie, people recognize Superior. And Lori Dance. That's right. Yeah. Thank you. We can add anytime you want, because I don't remember everything. But this district is something. Very proud to have worked in it and still proud to be part of it in this role.
I knew that when we hired her, so. Just kidding.
You saw it coming. Okay. Action item approval of phase 2 strategic planning recommendations. 5-year strategic objectives 2025 through 2030. They are attached and up on the screen. You can click the attachment if you're watching online, and then you'll see everything.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the 5-year strategic objectives 2025 through 2030. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There were no discussion items, informational items. First thing Amy talked about last week was the Aspiring Leadership Academy, where people in the district have the opportunity to meet once a month, I believe it is.
That's a year.
A couple times a year it's going to be? Okay, thanks, Kate. And the goal is to ready a number of our people in our district that someday want to be leaders, want to take the place of many of you that are here. I think it's a wonderful program. I do recall a similar program when I back in 2000 had something like this, and then it kind of got away. But I'm so glad that she's initiated this and moving that forward for our employees in our district. Next.
Question, when's
Yeah.
the next one?
Our next meeting is January.
Thank you.
We're doing half days, just so there's a little bit more time than after work. So we just did, I think, 3 throughout the year.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. President.
No problem. All right, next, Superior High School updates from our student representative, Taylor McMeekin.
For student council, we hosted Fright Night last Wednesday. We had a haunted hallway at the high school that student council members set up and acted in. We partnered with DECA and they hosted a pumpkin painting station, and that was a great hit. We hosted a movie in the pack and showed Halloween Town. We thought about 100 kids came. So there's a few hiccups, but most people had a great time. We did it 2 years ago and brought it back this year. Some sports updates. We had a few state trips. Tennis doubles team Greta and Lily Clark went to state, and cross country runner Elena Almonte. And for both of those, we did the new Spartan March, which I'm sure you guys know what that is, which I think worked really well. I feel like it increased the involvement of students. And then I don't know, I felt like it was very supportive of the whole school. Like we talked about, winter sports meeting tonight to kick off winter sports, as the fall sports have pretty much come to an end. For student council upcoming, we're planning for a glow dance on December 6th, which will be a casual blacklight dance with neon attire theme held at the middle school.
Pretty neat.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Taylor.
Was fall ball? Was there good attendance?
Yes, we had a lot of people actually. We had to, there's a little mix up because we had to like extend the limit of people, I guess. We had UWS. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Oh, that's
so,
awesome.
yeah, it was a really good turnout. Probably the most people we've ever had. So
Thank you.
Next, we have our principal from Bryant Elementary, Mr. Jason Kalen.
Thanks. I was gonna wish Amy congratulations, but she's not here to do that, so got to work with Lori Dons and now we get to work for Amy Starzecki, so that's pretty cool. I gotta say too, my wife works at the high school and I got to see those marches on video. I wish they were there when I was there, because they are cool.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of cool involvement with the high school, so. All right, I saw many of you in my building here in the last couple of weeks, so a lot of this won't be necessarily new information, but nevertheless, it's wonderful to share it. About the boundaries and the transition, I was telling most of our members here that the transition didn't affect Bryant as much as it did some of the other schools. I think we shifted about 40 kids out and brought about 40 kids in. But for those kids, that spring transition day with the Lake Superior students, those kids that were coming from the building into ours, that was a wonderful experience. Our district-wide transition night was great. I think we had super attendance. And then we've done a couple of things since then. We did our back to school picnic before the school year started, invited all of our new families. We just recently finished up a literacy night where a lot of our new families were in attendance and a lot of our existing families. And then of course, trunk or treat was fabulous. It was packed. It's kind of cool that now I think the word's been out there that the trunk or treaters from other buildings come. So we had just a line of kids moving through for about an hour and 15 minutes. So we went through a lot of candy that night, but it was a great time. And then our other events that PTO and or my family engagement coordinator, Sarah Bergquist, have kind of held, the Culver Spirit Night, fire safety. I think we already did a McDonald's night. So they're just trying to raise a little bit of money for the school, but also get our school community together. We did our Bethel evacuation drill. So we had community involved in that, which was great because we shipped the entire building. For our safety measure, we always practice our evac drill. We had multiple people from the community that helped out at the church that were there for that too. And then they did a float in the Spooktacular Parade. So a lot of community events at Bryant so far this fall. Celebrations, I shared this with you on our walkthrough here the other day, but one of the biggest celebrations that I see is our referral data. Obviously we pull our EduClimber stats quite frequently just to, in our PBIS tier 2, 3 meetings to kind of evaluate where we are, where we want to go, what things need to change or transition. Last year at this time, September of 23 through November of 23, we had 101 referrals by this point last year. This year, we're down to 21. It's not that we're not writing the referrals, it's that we're not seeing the behaviors. And part of it is to the structures that we have in place. Losing the paraprofessional staff that we lost really forced us, we lost half. So it really forced us to look at our structure and the way in which we schedule things. And so we just took a crack at it and we shifted a lot of things and we put support in places where our EduClimber results from last year were telling us we had a lot of problems, and it seemed to be working right now. My PE teacher, Rod Amos, my music and my art teachers, when we have a few extra sections and they are in recess helping, and just the hands-on, the trained professionals working with kids, they see incidents before they actually occur. And I think that's, along with my paraprofessional staff, we meet bi-weekly. We go over our expectations, we talk about problems. So we're just problem solving the entire time. And it's just been a really very collaborative effort, along with the support from my teachers with their routines and procedures in the classroom. We just have a very consistent message for our kids. So that's been wonderful. And then our 6-week rotation with our system of intervention right now. I can talk a little about that when we start talking about our goal and whatnot, but that's been working. It's a work in progress, but it's working. I put this together over the weekend and I was sitting at the cabin and I couldn't come up with a lot of challenges right now. It's not that there aren't any, but not the big ones that are just like, oh, that one. So I emailed my staff, my leadership team, and I asked them the same question. I said, hey, I'm just trying to get a whole perspective here. Do you see a lot of challenges? And they really didn't have a whole lot. So we met this morning and we just were like, the biggest things that we see are the sub shortages. We were without, support this morning. So we had to push in our paraprofessionals to help, and or teachers will go in and assist when we don't have a substitute. What that does then is it just kind of unfolds the entire schedule for the day, and we just feel like we're putting a puzzle together. That's really the greatest challenge that I see. I know Molly's trying to help us out by, because we were reduced in paraprofessionals, she's added paraprofessionals to the Ready sub so that we can ask for subs, but not a lot of the teacher subs are taking those positions unless they know the building very well. So that's been our biggest struggle, but this, it feels really good to be at Bryant right now. So I'm not too hard pressed on this. I have great people that will step in and do what we need to do on days that we're short. So it feels good. Our goals, we have one goal this year. Not that we don't have some of the ones that existed in the past in our back of our mind, but our main goal right now is around reading, especially with our implementation of Act 20 this year coming up in January. So we are focused on our readers. I put the outcome priority statement because it really guides our work here. When we looked at our results the last couple of years, especially in 23, 24, what we're not seeing that we would like to see more of is that our lowest level readers are not making substantial gains with their data. And so we are really pushing in, and that's part of the intervention system that we have in place. We are going back every 6 weeks. Our teachers are working with our EMLSS and our SPED team, and they are talking about kids every Tuesday in our PLC meetings. So we've kind of tightened up the structure of PLC. We have common agendas where we collaborate with all the individuals, the stakeholders that are making those decisions, and we're making a collaborative decision. And then my job is to try and make sure that the structures in the system can work and put people in place. And we are utilizing our assistants and our teachers to max capacity right now. So I think we're going to see a lot of growth in the winter. We don't have our first set of data right now, but based on our last 2 PDs, I've had a lot of great intentional conversations with teachers around those types of interventions for those kids. So trying to really get at the kids that are struggling the most, not forgetting about those other ones. Obviously, those interventions are in place for them, but we're being very intentional with trying to make gains. So it's going great. Action steps. I kind of spoke to a lot of them. I should have hit fast forward on my slide. Really, the one that I didn't mention, 4 and 5, I can speak to. I spoke to 1 through 3 already, but 4 and 5, our SLT team is facilitating learning once a month in our staff meetings, and we are doing a little bit more research. We're digging into the literacy books that come with Act 20, but I purchased a book called Shifting the Balance. It comes in 2 editions, a K2 and a 3.5, where it really allows, it's a lot of the research, the newest research in reading around creating interventions for kids who are struggling with, whether it's vocabulary, whether it's fluency, you name it. And it's just giving us another tool to go into and try something different. My challenge to my staff is what haven't we done? Try something different. In 6 weeks, we figure out, is it working or not? And they've been doing that. They've been making commitment statements every 6 weeks in our PD meetings, and then we revisit it in 6 weeks to see how we're doing. So, and then of course, clarifying the adult roles, that's for everybody. It's for paras, it's for teachers, it's for principals, counselors. What do we need to do to make sure we can boost this? Part of my job is making sure the kids are in the building. And so my secretary and I have taken a very concentrated approach to make sure we have attendance there. We have postcards we send out for kids, and we're just trying to make the environment the best place for learning and for living. Try to keep it short there, man.
Very nice.
Any questions?
No questions. As you said, though, thank you for dealing with us in your school.
I
And
love it.
it's nice to be able to actually see what you're talking about here in person in your school.
Yeah.
So
Always welcome. Appreciate the visit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job on the numbers with the referrals. I mean, the stuff that you guys are doing, like you said, it's a work in progress, but 101 to 21 that's pretty incredible.
That's it.
Yeah, I bet it does for all you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more work up front, but I'd rather do that than the stuff on the other side. So, thank you.
You're welcome. And correct, you do not have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Appreciate it. I appreciate that. It's all for 4 days.
All right, good to see you.
Thanks.
The next part of the agenda are the board committee reports. Action taken at today's meeting will be final approval unless otherwise noted. So our first report tonight is from the Teaching and Learning Committee. There were no action items, no discussion items. Informational items at the Committee of the Whole on October 30th, Jen Willoughby, Director of Early Childhood and Family Engagement, provided updates on Indigenous Peoples Day and Native American Heritage Month. And that was very thorough, complete. Really appreciated that.
And the follow-up email. So thank you.
Motion to accept the Teaching and Learning Committee report.
Second.
Motion is second to accept the Teaching and Learning Committee report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The Budget Insurance Committee, action items, gifts, grants, and bequests. Administration recommends approval to accept gifts, grants, and bequests received in October of 2024.
Motion to approve.
second.
Motion and second to accept the gifts, grants, and bequests. Is there any further discussion? Huge thank you to all of those who have donated, especially look at the Angel Fund. That's kind of
Love that.
cool. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have new action item this evening. Administration recommends the approval of a resolution 24-14 authorizing a taxable tax and revenue anticipation promissory note for cash flow purposes in an amount not to exceed $5 million.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the resolution 24-14. Is there any further discussion?
So
David,
this is
do you
going to be the standard one we do every year. I know it's a little quicker this time because we did it June, which covered 23-24. This is going to cover 24-25, and then I anticipate we'll do it again in July of this year or next year, for the 25-26. The hope is we don't have to touch this at all, but it's better to have it and not need and not use it as opposed to need it and not have it. So the long resolution written up between NBC, ourselves, and the portals. Pretty standard, pretty much the same as what it was back in July. So
I just appreciate your transparency of a constant, like, we've been prepared for this. You keep us on track of when the next one is coming. So appreciate that, David.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed, motion carries. There were no discussion items, informational items. There was the review of the Fund 10 revenue and expenditure report. And it's calling them up, and while she's calling them up, part of the budget process is that every monthly meeting, we show this at the committee of the whole meeting, and then we show it again at the regular board meeting. The budget is in print. It's here every month. The budget is in print on the district website. We've had some requests and concerns about transparency about our budgets and stuff. And it's for those, if people are listening and want to know, I mean, you can go right to the district website. It's quite easy. You click on business, you go to budget. All of our budgets since 2018-19 school year are then right there for the public to look at. And it is open public. They can do this. There are certain things of the Freedom of Information Act that there are some things in the district that people do have to make requests, but making that phone call to either David or to Amy to clear up what they really need to do should give a clear picture for the community and the public. We worry about transparency. I don't necessarily know if we worry about transparency. I think we do everything we can to be as transparent as possible. And when questions come up, ask them, and then the right people will answer them for you. Any comment on what?
this is based upon the referendum passing. The referendum does not pass, then this number will change, but after that, the budget is then locked in place unless there's a budget revision brought in front of the board. It's not something we've ever done in the past. It might be something we do in the future just because I want to, when there's unexpected expenses or unexpected revenue, we might want to do a budget revision to make sure those numbers are there. So we're even more transparent, I guess. But these numbers always stick now because I cannot change them unless you guys let me change them. So.
I actually have another question about that. Maybe it's for David, maybe it's for Kyle, because we passed both of the budgets at the budget hearing. Do we have to amend that or disapprove the budget that we're not using then?
Or the one just goes forward just by default, or?
Yeah, so it's the one that, so each of them are, one's contingent upon it passing, one's contingent upon it failing. Sure. So we can only use the one if it passes or it fails because of the amount that we pull on local property taxes is going to be skewed out. So
We don't have to do anything necessarily.
so we are.
Yeah.
Approved both of them at the last meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to accept the Budget and Insurance Committee report.
Second.
Motion and second to accept the Budget Insurance Committee report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Personnel Negotiations Committee, action items, administration recommends approval of the November 2024 new hires and separations report.
Motion second.
Motion second to accept the new hires and separations report from November of 2024. Is there any further discussion? Again, nice to see the list a little bit smaller. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There were no discussion items. Informational items, U.S. Department of Labor, DOL finalized the rule on April 23, 2024, setting the standard salary level for the white collar exemptions under FLSA at $844 per week as of July 1, 2024, up from the current $684 per week. The weekly salary requirement for white collar exempt employees will then increase to $1,128 per week on January 1, 2025. We will have a better idea if the January 2025 increase will stand after the November presidential election. If the January 2025 increase is to move forward, it would affect some of our employees in the salaried professional group, and we will have to determine if they are moved to an hourly status or if we will increase the salary schedules. If there are changes, it will be on the December board agenda, as it would be a change to the employee handbook.
Motion to accept the Personnel and Negotiations Committee report.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept the Personnel Negotiations Committee report. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question. So I appreciate that we got this out ahead of time so that it prepares some that it may affect. Do we send out the agendas to all of our teachers, staff, everyone in the district? Okay, perfect.
Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Policies and Rules Committee, action items. Administration proposes the approval of changes to the following policies based on Neola recommendations in order to be in compliance with state and or federal law updates. Second reading of policy 7540.05, assistive technology and services. This policy is updated to address new technology being used with certain students as a way to communicate with them and to monitor their location, behavior, etc.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and second to accept policy 7540.05. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Second reading of policy 2131, educational outcome goals and expectations. This policy is updated to include the additional language added by 2023 Wisconsin Act 266, which amends Wisconsin Statute 118.01, paren 2, paren C, number 8, to include reference to Hmong Americans and Asian Americans.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve policy 2131. Is there any further discussion?
Thank you, Ann, for making all the changes.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Committee recommends the approval of resolution 24-15, requirement of nomination papers / school board positions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to accept resolution 24-15. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There were no discussion items and there were no informational items.
Motion to accept policy rules committee report.
Second.
Motion and second to accept the policies and rules committee report. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other reports by any of the board members?
Sure you're going to cover it, but tomorrow is election day and we hope folks will get out and vote.
I don't have to.
Huh?
Or perhaps make a statement.
Yes, you should.
I know,
Kyle's over there trying to like be careful.
yeah. I know Ed kind of already said it, but again, thank you to all the principals that took time to show the board members around, kind of talk about how the year started out, some of their challenges, some of their celebrations. It's always nice to get into the buildings and actually see what's going on and hear from them. And honestly, I think that all of them, it was pretty unanimous that it's been a really good start to the year, that things feel really, really good. So.
Yeah, things felt different.
Yeah, you know, it's really, I'm proud. It's really awesome. They're all doing a fantastic job. We have some amazing leaders, so.
Very well said. Any other district and program highlights? One thing Amy and I talked about the other day, last year with the elections coming up for school board nominations, we have not set a date, but sometime in December, we will get together and hold an informal get together with individuals that might be interested in running for the board. And as Laura said, tomorrow is vote day. Exercise your right to vote. Finally, consideration of bills and pre-approved bills.
Should pay the bills.
Second.
Motion and a second to pay the bills. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion or second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Over. Your meetings.